Morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel, 8:10 a.m. 8:10 a.m. Now, yesterday, if you saw that price action, horrendous. That's the rollover. It was the first day where more of the volume was split in the two contracts. You saw it right off the bat. Horrendous price action. Horrendous. And I was in a long yesterday. It was going in my favor, but then guess who's talking? Trump, while I'm in the trade. Not a great thing. Now, he could either help you or hurt you. Wound up hurting me. And it's always a curious position to be in when you're in a trade and Trump's talking and I'm hearing, I have a squawk in my ear saying what he's saying. And I was up in the trade and I was like, I probably should go to break even here just for the sure. But then you think, well, what if this thing explodes, right? So I was like, you know what? Let me be in it. It gave me a couple chances and then it nipped me. And yeah, I did wind up having a short a little later that was working, but then it hit my break even. So pretty much took that one loss, and probably not the best environment to trade, especially crude, still inversely correlated with the market. So I was watching crude, and literally when crude moved up, the market moved down. When crude moved down, the market moved up. You really have to watch crude right now. Crude's back up now. It lost a little bit of steam. It was up over 3%. All right. I know some things were destroyed in infrastructure there. Um, this market really, let's see here how many sessions. We're kind of in a balance area. So let's see. I'm going to count them here. Let's count them together real quick on this hourly chart. So here's a real-time trading hour sessions. There's one session, two sessions, three sessions, four sessions, five sessions, six sessions. We kind of haven't gone much of anywhere. And you can see that 67, 55, 53 that I talked about yesterday. Look where we are. Back there again. In the NASDAQ, look at the 24880 as I talked about it yesterday. Look where we are again. Nothing to see here. Okay? The market, literally, nothing to see. What I did see was there was these equal lows that needed to be taken care of. And they got taken care of. So just real quick, go back to that. So right here in the Nasdaq, especially, I'm like, oh my God, that is such insane. Look what this friggin' market did. It ripped all the way up, right? Took out previous day's highs. That was it. When it came back and closed here, the most likely destination were these equal lows. And look at the overnights. Boom, took it out. Same in the ES. In a smaller time frame, you had more equal lows here. And then look what did it do? Boom, took it out. Didn't even reach the previous day's highs. Inside day yesterday. Inside day yesterday in the ES. Now look, we pulled back into demand. That was the setup I wanted yesterday. This was the demand zone I wanted to hit yesterday to go long. Now we're going across the middle of the range here, right? So we're in balance, folks. And what's tomorrow? FOMC. Now today, improbability wise, there's probably not much that's going to happen today. That's unless because our market's very headline risky, there's something that comes out. But usually before an FOMC, you don't do anything wild because no one wants to be holding the bag for tomorrow. Now there's been times where you do see an outsized move, but usually there's a de-risk involved at the end of the day if you do see an outsized move. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Yesterday just was ugh. Now the volume today has switched over. We are the volume is now more in the July contract. June contract, July contract. I forget what that is now. June contract. Okay, so it has switched over, and as the week goes on, the market should start to look like, by Thursday, it should be pretty much rolled over completely. But that's OPEX for you on Friday. So monthly expirations, weekly expirations, well, monthly expirations, I'm sorry, monthly expirations, and then you have SPX, the indexes expire, the futures contracts roll over, and there's futures expirations. Okay, so it's I'm sorry, stocks, index, and futures. Okay, and then futures options. So that's why they call it quad witching. Some people call it triple witching, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so let's get into it today. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and bond profile to find structure in the markets, supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. Now, once that market opens, I use my market internals. Okay, also use some anchored VWAPs, a little ICT in there. Okay, and my weekly expected move indicator you can get for free in my Discord, as well as my gamma flip points I post every morning. Those are usually pivot levels that you can trade off of. Okay. Now, hopefully, you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. Okay, give you the market story, the market news, technical analysis, and I give you the long and short trade scenarios in the Nasdaq in the ES futures. Okay. Now, I have a new workflow. World premiere was yesterday. Okay, I figured out a workflow now that I automatically, once my stream ends, I have my little AI agent, and now with the little help of an OBS plugin, my scenarios will be given to you right after my stream ends in text form. Before, I only gave you video links, but if you don't go into the video link, you're not going to read my scenario. Now it's like going to be written in stone. It's going to be saved, time stamped, and a lot of the times my scenarios play out. Now yesterday, because of rollover, the movement was very compressed in the markets. Very compressed. Didn't look like it was going to go anywhere. You had a kind of a balanced profile, and it just couldn't go lower. I just really couldn't go higher. Okay. Now, I'm just talking about Discord. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage of myself, you're going to join my Discord. It's Confluence Trading. Okay. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Now, if we go just to my Discord, just to show you like the stuff I'm trying to work on here. Okay. So in the daily receipt, you can see, pre-market scenario. So it's beautiful now. And I'm not the most eloquent speaker, but I'm pretty clear when I do my scenarios. And the major level I kept talking about was at 67.53. Now, I had a limit order. I told my community yesterday at the 67.50s, and I took it off, and the market hit it really, literally only when it ticked against me and then moved up. But did it? I don't think it would have went to my target, but I was like, man, oh man. But anyway, right after my stream ends, you'll see my pre-market scenarios laid out here. Okay, so this is very important. So now this is going to be a place now where you can see every day what I said from my stream. Right? I think it's a lot easier to see it in text form as opposed to watching my video, because you can always go back and watch my video, but this is like proof of my scenarios, and pretty much I'm on point most of the time. Yesterday was a compressed scenario. 67.53 was the pullback, and it broke the highs. And then the market was just weird. Oil, Trump talking, and rollover all made it weird yesterday. Okay, so check out the pre-market scenarios after my stream is over. You'll get those scenarios. Okay. Now we're gonna move over to the futures watch list here. Crude, it's back up. Okay, back up 2.32%. Gold's up 0.30, Ethereum up 0.17, the Dow's up 0.15, Bitcoin's up 0.13. A lot of flat stuff. ES up 0.08, Russell's up 0.05, the dollar's flat. Nasdaq's flat. You see what I'm getting my drift here? Nothing's going on. Okay, 30-year bonds flat, silver flat, 10-year yield pretty much flat. The VIX is down 2.21%. We're out of 23 VIX. See what I'm saying? We're in balance. Okay, so moving on to the Mag 7 Plus here. Now, Coinbase is up 0.86, AMD up 0.30, Nvidia is up 0.23. Now, Nvidia yesterday was talking a lot about CPUs, $1 trillion in profits coming. I thought that might have been up a little more from that from Jensen Huang speaking. Okay, the laggard today is Eli Lilly, down 0.84. Now, top sectors: Uber and Nvidia are rolling out some like robo-taxi or something. So Uber's getting some love this morning, up 3.70%. Followed by Exxon, GEV, Vernova. And the laggard today is your Oracle and Walmart. Walmart down 0.39. Okay. Sectors. Energy up 0.74. Goes crude's up. Okay. Semiconductors up 0.24. Financials up 0.18. Technology up 0.14. Okay. There is nothing lagging this morning. Nothing lagging. Okay. Now, we're going to move on to the economic calendar here. Now, today, ADP employment change came out already. Let's see. Okay, previous 15.5K. The consensus, they don't even have a consensus here. Interesting. Actual 9K. All right. Let's see here. Pending home sales at 10 a.m. Not really a market mover, really. Let's see if there's a 1 star here. We do have, that's not really going to move the market either. 20-year bond auction at 1 p.m. We'll see what that does. Okay, that's really it. Okay, now as far as Trump today, I'm really not a fan of Trump markets. I'm just not. And it's not anything to do with Trump, really. Well, it has to, but it's just that when he talks, the market moves. You know, Biden, like, you barely move the market with his mouth, right? Not the case with Trump. Okay. Now, 10:45, President participates in the greeting with the, I don't even know how to say that. Something of Ireland. It is St. Patty's Day. So, 11 a.m., the president participates in a bilateral meeting in the Oval Office. Great. I hope to be in a trade before that and be out. I really don't want to be in a trade when he's talking. Today I will. It's just overall probably sound to just go to break even if I'm up in the trade. Or if he starts talking and it's by my break even, just get out, even if it's a small loss. It just doesn't make sense because and with oil, because when he's talking, it's usually about oil, and then oil is going crazy. Literally yesterday, one of my trades I was in, I think it was the short, something like that, where I was break even, where something happened where oil went ripped lower, and I was like, well, there you go. Something he said, I forget what it was, but just annoying. Let's see, 2:30 p.m. President participates in a policy meeting. But the 11 a.m. right now, the participates in a bilateral meeting, White House press pool, at 11 a.m. So I have my little squawk guy in my ear, but geez, you know, it makes it hard to trade, because like if you're day trading, you know, our risk is like points. That can just be whipped out, and it's like, oh, okay, is that wrong? Was that a wrong trade? You know. So now we'll just look at the juice. I don't think anything here. Let's see. Is really shocking. Let's see if there's any red. No, 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 no. I know the risk was there was let's see, stock futures struggled to find direction as oil resumed its advance following attacks on critical energy infrastructure in the Middle East. U.S. diesel prices surpassed $5 per gallon, first time since 2022. Okay, we all know that's still on the news. We all still know that's not done yet. So, like I said, this thing will eventually be in the past, right? The market will stop reacting to it. Okay, let's look at some more news here. Actually, let's look if there's anything. Nothing here. Nothing here. Let's move on. All right, let's see. U.S. transitory inflation turns 5 and still is a big brat. Nvidia bets on AI inference as chip revenue opportunity hits 1 trillion. This is interesting. Amazon launches 1-hour shipping in U.S. cities to challenge Walmart. Here's the Uber. Uber and Nvidia plan robotaxi rollout in 28 cities starting next year. Uber is getting a big boost from that today. Google in talks with China's NVCool, others to buy data center cooling systems. Source says Alphabet's Google in talks with NVCool and other Chinese firms about buying liquid cooling equipment for data centers. Interesting. Let's see if there's anything in here that I saw that was moving markets that I could talk about. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. All right, let's do a breath check-in with the bullish percent index. Okay. All right. So, I'm going to start off with something that's been getting hammered. Okay. This is the bullish percent index of financial sector. It's not looking too good. Now, why is this happening? Private credit issues. Private credit issues. Okay. So, I think this is going to be eventual a buy. Okay, because now it's pricing in those private credit issues. Okay. Financial is the second largest market cap weighted sector in the S&P 500. It's around, I think, 14% or 13%. Okay. So combined with the tech, it's almost 45% of the market cap weight, just the two sectors. So since financials has been getting hammered, right? There you go. So this is telling us 28%, let's round it, 29% of the financial sector is on a buy signal, right? Just off the bat, you know it's kind of getting oversold, right? Look at the past. This is the last time we were at the 40s. Now, we haven't been down here since this was way down. That's April 7th. That's the bottom of the market last year after Liberation Day. Okay? So, keep that in mind. Now, tickers to look at: JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Berkshire Hathaway. Okay? I have an alert set because I think we're just pricing in the private credit issues. Okay? All right, let's move on. Let's look at the next bullish percent index, which is going to be our S&P 500. That's at a 43. Okay? It's at a 43. We were weaker at the end of November last year. So this breadth has weakened. All right? And why is that? Because basic materials, staples, healthcare, financials is all pulled back. Okay? Let's look at our other arch nemesis here, the NDX. It's at 47. Remember, that was weak here in February. Why? Because of software. Okay? And we'll finish it off with technology. Look at technology. This is where, I don't want to call it the canary in the coal mine, but notice when software fell off, it was at 25% at buy signals. Then it went down again to 30%, and look, it's been getting bought up. So you can see what I just showed you. Technology is getting money flows into it. It's getting money flows. Notice it's stronger than the NDX itself. It's stronger than financials, stronger than the S&P 500. Okay? Now remember, because money rotates, when something's oversold, people flow money into that and then take money out of other things. That's why staples and other things like that have pulled back. They had a nice ride. Okay? That's our breath check-in. Now, we do have this percentage over the 50-day moving average. I always forget where that is. Let's just see if we can get it in here. 50-day. Let's see, moving average. Let's see if that pops in. There we go. Okay. Okay. So there's our breath, right? I always say, hey, let's check the breath. Does the market need a mint? Does the market need a mint? Well, it does. Breath is getting pretty stinky. So 33% of the S&P 500 are over their 50-day simple moving average. That is a weakening breath. Now look to the left. The last time we were there was the middle of November of last year. Okay, so we're trying to hold it here. Now again, Liberation Day, that was the last time it was very, very oversold. So 33% of stocks are over there for the moving average. Remember, this is 500 stocks, a percent. So just remember, I talked about this ad nauseum for a while when we were at 60. We're at 60. We're at 60. We're at 60. Well, when the rest of the market was strong and tech was weak, that's why this was like this. Now tech caught a bid and the rest of the market kind of pulled back. Hence, a weaker breath. Okay? So, that's the breath check-in. Now we're going to go to the market internals. And it told the story yesterday. It really did. Okay? It really told the story. Why did it tell the story? Right? Well, you had a little early rise, and that's not that strong. And you had a divergence. Equal weight was stronger than market cap. Then we went back. Then this is not strong readings, folks. Let me zoom out. Let me show you how little and compressed this is. This is what we've been dealing with. Week, week, week. Look at how much the bars are bigger. Look at this day, right? And look at that little day. You had a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit up. The market internals showed you exactly what the market was doing. Okay? It just was never going to break down. It just never was going to break up or bust out, break out to the upside. Just wasn't in the internals. The internal strength was not there. Okay? And we also came from a long way from the overnight. That's the thing also. The market was kind of tired. It already traveled a long distance. Okay? Now don't get me wrong, these Valdez are pretty strong, but that's at the exchange level. Look at tech. It wasn't even the driver yesterday. Right? That's a little red herring there. Tech wasn't the driver. Right? Discretionary was up. But look, it's like middling. Yes, they're green, but they're not like super green. All right. Now, let's get into the daily charts here. Dailies. All right. All right. So now this market's trying to rip up to the top of the balance area now. Okay. My pre-market scenario from yesterday is working out for this morning. All right. So what did we do? Not the best candle. That's a doji. Indecision. Couldn't even hit the previous day's highs. Right? Just in the middle of nowhere yesterday. Horrible. Okay. In the middle of nowhere. Now, where are we at now? 670.85. We are right here. Right there in the upper third of yesterday. Now you have, remember I said, it's like a 3-day balance. Right? Now, you want to look at it. It could be looked at like an inverse head and shoulders, which obviously is a bullish pattern. We will have to see. Okay? We will have to see. Remember, FOMC is tomorrow. All right, let's look at futures. Okay, futures. What did we do yesterday? We swept that previous session, and I said expected move should be up, right? Didn't quite hit that top of the last session. Now, you have a hammer candle today. Okay, you pulled back. Okay, I would think we hit in futures around the 67.85s. Do we go to 6800s or the 6807s, which is last month's lows? I don't know. You do have a daily supply zone right here, so be very wary right here. Okay, starting about 6800. That's a daily supply zone. That market, now look to your left too. You also have a big range here. So this is not, once you hit this last month's lows, you're going to get some resistance here, unless there's some bullish catalyst that I don't know about. So be very cognizant of that. Okay, let's move on to the Qs. Now the Qs, okay, in a monster range here. Okay, let's just box it off in just a big range. Okay, that is what's going on in the Qs. Just a monster range. Okay, disgusting. So yesterday, look, we have two daily bars here, and it just barely broke the previous day's highs, right? And then it had like a doji, and a little bit like a doji, right? Almost an inverse hammer. Okay, now where are we at now? 601.30, 601.40. We are here in the middle of yesterday. We're in the middle of yesterday's session. It's never a good place to be. Okay. Now, some people are talking about the 20-day crossing over to 50 here. That's not the death cross. The death cross is a 50-day moving across the 200-day. But 20-day is now like declining. You have a flat 100-day. You have a declining 50-day. Okay. So who knows? Okay. Who knows what we're going to tap into? You might tap into these two daily lows here at 605 today. I don't know. All I do know is you came down to this balance, swept the low at a balance, right? Almost hit the 200-day moving average. Tried again on Friday, right? There's Friday's close right there, that black line. And now I would think if technology keeps getting money flowed into it, we can start to power up. And I don't know. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be easy, but I think that we could definitely start to tag these 613s. Okay? Just keep in mind this range. Okay? Well, short stride. We start to break out here, at least take over the 604s. We should go higher into the 613s. It's just how balance works. Okay? It's just how balance works. Now, futures. Okay, futures. We have that range. Okay? Look what we did yesterday. Tried to break the previous month's lows. Couldn't do it. Now you got a hammer. Pull back a little bit into the middle of this session, right? Your destination is going to be around the 25027s. Again, though, you have a daily supply zone here. This is probably going to cause problems unless there's a news catalyst here. Okay? That starts at around 259, let's call it 251s. And the 20-day simple moving average is there. I think that probably we slam into 20, maybe get up to here something. I think that's going to cause some resistance at first. Okay? So let's see. Now, we can move on to the 1 hour charts. Let's do that. And this market's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Okay? It's doing what it's supposed to be doing right now in balance. So let's look at these hourly charts. Okay? And you'll see the inverse head and shoulders. It's not hard to see it. You got the neckline right around the 67. What is that? 67. Call it 90s just to be right there. That's your neckline. Left shoulder, right shoulder, head. Okay? You typically are probably going to see this now break. Okay? That's undeniable. The pattern, I don't have to see that pattern. It really doesn't mean much to me. It's just, but when you see the pattern, it's like, all right, that's usually a bullish pattern, right? All right. So let's get rid of one of these, this equal highs here. Hold on. This is gonna be a pain. These rays sometimes are a pain in the butt to get. I'll do it later. All right. So what did we do? What did we do? So yesterday, right, had this big move from the overnights. Oof. Right. Couldn't even break previous day's highs. Pulled back right there, swept these lows. Then the market moved way up here. And then it needed to take care of that. So then it pulled back into the demand that I thought we'd go into yesterday. And now we're starting to hit the balance. So this is our balance right here. Okay? Do we just rip up? I don't know. I don't know. Okay? So this pullback, I actually saw this pre-market and I was like, that could be a good long here. And of course it would have been. Right? Whenever I look at it and I think, ooh, that could be a good long and I don't do anything, it always works. Right? That's how trading works. Now let's look at the daily chart here. Very bullish. Look at the 4-hour. Bullish. All right. So all right. So now when you're in balance, all right, that 67.53 right here, and you can't nail that level anymore. That was actually the most traded price of yesterday as well. Okay. It just becomes the middle of the seesaw in the middle of balance. Okay. So it's generally don't get me wrong. If we pull back there, that's going to be in a part of the scenario. But right now, you just want to see if we can tackle around the 67.90s. There's also an unfilled gap here. Do we come into that? You also see though, there's the supply zone that I talked about that we're coming into. Okay, so let's see what we do. Expected move will it be the probably tag yesterday's highs. Okay, so real quick, what you'd want to see if we don't do this, and let's say you come into here and you get that little pullback to 67.53s, right? You want to tag bounce highs, okay? Because usually things don't just go in straight lines, okay? Now I am going to add right here another demand zone right now, right here, another hour demand zone right there. Now, when you're in balance, so I don't like to put too many supply and demand zones because balance rules when they take over. You just go from one side of balance to the next. Once and it will just go through fair value gap. It will just go through those. It might make a little support or a little resistance with them, but usually there's a straight path and a destination where that balance is going to go. Balance high to balance low. Okay? That's why we're probably going to reach here. And who knows what happens. It's not a great thing to just go straight into this supply. Now, this supply isn't the strongest in the world. More heavy supply is right up here. It's probably more of the daily supply I was talking about earlier. So we can possibly move up to last month's lows, to 68.02s. We'll see. We'll see, okay? That's really it. There's not much to talk about there. All right, now let's get into the NASDAQ now. Okay, NASDAQ's got a similar situation. Okay. Yesterday, look at those equal lows. Man, oh man. All you needed was that and that sweep. Those were going to get taken care of. Boom, mission accomplished. And you dropped into where? The demand zone that I wanted to get long yesterday. That was my pre-market scenario from yesterday. It just was so compressed. That session was so compressed. Okay, so look. Now, your 24880s is your most traded price of the week. You just want that to hold. Okay, and your most likely destination is going to be right here. What's that level, right? Yesterday's highs are on the 250s, 25032s, right? Then you have an unfilled gap unfill gap goes up to 25088s. Now, do you have the most traded price of the current year right here? Ah, I don't think I would get too crazy about where my target would be. Interesting. Let me look at this. What's moving the market today? Okay. Just to show you a little something here. Look at this sectors. Energy is leading, right? Semis were up a lot more earlier. I'm pretty sure they were up more than that. Interesting. Okay. Everything is up. But notice tech's not leading. Semis are not leading. And they were earlier, I believe. Or they were up there. Financials are. That is why I'm looking at this and I'm like, the Nasdaq's not moving as high as the ES is. That kind of changed. Okay? So let's look at it. So what are we going to look for today? This is our balance lows, 247s around, your balance highs. Okay? Now, simple as could be, if you hold the 24880s, somehow it could do something like, ooh, 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 ooh. You're going to go and tap up to the top of that balance. Okay, now I see a demand zone that I'm going to put on here. Okay, let's do that. My pre-market plan from yesterday is working perfectly. Just had that compressed session. Cause rollover. Let me see. I don't think I got the bottom of that. Oop, hold on. Alrighty. So, as long as this holds, we should go back to the other side. It's just how it works. And the market's probably going to do something like this. Oh my God, no. And then it winds up doing that. Okay? My expected move today would still be up to the highs of yesterday. All right? It's pretty much what we've been doing here. Okay? Let's throw a little profile on here. Let's see from this day right here. Boom. Here's the balance. Where's the most traded price? Right where my box is, right? There you go. And there's value area, the highlighted white. That's 70% of the trades been happening in this area. Okay? That's your balance area. Okay? Value area high, value area low. The target is going to be up here. Okay? Just wanted to show you that as for a visual. I don't just say it for no reason. That's a balanced profile. Okay? Let's move on. All right. Moving on to the market profile, volume profile. Alrighty. This is market profile, volume profile. All right. So we just talked about it, right? This is where I love it. You can see the overnight versus the real-time trading hours yesterday. The overnight session is already bigger than yesterday's real-time trading session, 58-point range to a 49-point range, right? Have some single prints up here. Okay, we can make this a little bigger now. Move it up. Okay, so remember what I said, okay, about balance. All right, right off the bat, let's see here. If I'm seeing anything that I'm like, okay, this is important. No, we're going to get right into it. Okay, so let's get right into the long and short trade scenarios in the ES. So, remember, folks, we're in balance. We're in balance, folks. Okay? So, my expected move is to the top of the balance highs. All right, so the first thing we're going to go for is where my bias is towards is a long. Okay. We're currently in the upper third of yesterday's session, right at 67.69. Our most traded price of the week in yesterday is 67.53 or 55. Okay. Now, what I'm going to look for off the bat is a pullback. A pullback could be right to the most traded price, the 67.55, 53 area, or a little deeper into that demand zone that I just marked off. That demand zone starts around 67.50s. Okay, overnight VPOC is also right there at 67.45. If that's supportive, right, you could long there or wait till we recapture the 67.55s on a pullback. That would be a higher low. Then you're going to target yesterday's highs. Yesterday's highs would be 67.84s. Now, there's a gap. That gap, fill, the bottom of the gap is 67.87, and the fill would be a 6800. That's a psychological level as well. Okay? That's numero uno, the best scenario that I see. Okay? Other than that, I'm not liking too much. All right? That to me is what I want to be interested in getting into. Now, again, how does the market open? We don't know that yet, right? But if it opens bullish, text leading, that is going to be my long scenario. Okay? Now, that's the long. Let's talk about the short. Okay? Now, I am not interested in shorts, right, below 67.55s, the most traded price of the week. I'm not really interested in it, right? So, what I want to see is if the market opens, drives into, right, supply, drives into the previous day's highs, and fails inside the gap. Okay, remember, we're going to be at balance highs. Okay, if we sweep yesterday's highs, close back inside the range, put a lower high in, guess what, folks? We're going to go down because we're in balance. So we're going to go back to 67.55s. That would be the first target. Then the expected move would be to break that level. And now gravity takes over. Now, even if you retest 67.55s and a failure, you're going to go back to where? The balance lows, area lows. Take out the overnight lows around the 67.15s and then test the 6700s. Then maybe you bounce back up because of FOMC de-risk. Okay, now remember, this all depends to see how the market opens. If the market opens up and we are, let's say, internals are not very strong when we break this balance high, yes, that's probably a good short. But the market's strong, probably not the best time to short it. Okay? Moving on to NASDAQ. Okay, remember, very similar situation here as far as the plan. Okay, as far as the plan. Now we're at the midpoint of yesterday. Not a great area to be. Okay, not a great area. Okay, let's get right into scenarios for the NASDAQ. So, first thing we're going to talk about, just like I said, we're in a balance. We're in a range. Balance rules are in effect. So, the first thing I'm going to look for is a long. Now, remember, the most traded price of the past week and yesterday is that 24880. 24880. Right now, we are currently holding above that. Remember, we came down to the balance lows in the overnight. Okay? Now, balance rules says that we should test the other side of balance, the balance highs. That is around your 25019s to 32s. Okay? So, first scenario. Even if we push up a little bit, I want to pull back to test the 24880s. Now, I might do it perfectly. That's also yesterday's close. Okay, or it's going to dip a little lower into this demand zone. The demand zone starts at around 24855s, and the overnight VPOC, which is around the 24836s. Any support in here. Now, this would be a little aggressive here. If you get one of these in a lower high, you can go long. Now, conservatively, you want to break above the 24880s and then pull back to it, retest it. That's a little more conservative long. If you get long there, you are going to target those balance highs. That is your 25019s, your 25032s, which is yesterday's highs. Then you go into the unfilled gap. That unfilled gap starts at 25049 and ends at about 25088s, and you fill the gap. And then you go into a heavy supply. Okay? That's what I talked about earlier. Okay? That heavy supply up there. That's kind of all I'm interested in. Okay? Other than that, that's about it for the longs. Now, short side. Like I said, all I really care about in the short side is if we tap the balance highs, the 25032s, and let's say we fail to fill the gap, or we rip up, fill the gap, hit that major supply zone, reject back into the balance, you put in a lower high, and the market, let's say, does this very quickly off the open. Okay, it has to do it quickly, and the market internals are telling me, oh boy, we're not that strong. You target 24880s, the most traded price of the week. Now, if you break that, retest that, guess what, folks? Going down to the balance area lows, you're going to hit the 247s because it's balance rules. Now, before FOMC, do I think we fall apart? Probably not, but you always have to put it in there. Okay, you always have to put that scenario in there. Okay. That will be scenarios. Now, the one thing to be cognizant of all day, and I have it up, and it's just annoying now, is crude. The market is inversely correlated with crude right now. Until that breaks, it's annoying. I've been in this before with Ukraine and Russia. Been in it before when crude is out of control, and crude literally is inversely correlated. It's correlated sometimes, it's inversely correlated sometimes, but it's very apparent. If you watch crude, whenever that crude pushes up, usually ES is going down, and vice versa. So just keep your eye on crude. I know Trump's about to talk at 11, which I'm not in love with. I'm hoping I'm in and out of something by then and my day is done. Okay, so just be very weary of crude. It has to be up on a chart for yourself. Otherwise, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's annoying, but you are. Okay? Now, that's it for me. Smash the like button if you enjoyed that analysis. I hope you did. All right? Help my channel out. Now, if you'd like to join me every morning, please do so. And subscribe and set that alert. All right? Give you the market story, the market news, technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios in NASDAQ and ES futures. Okay? Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. All right? I will not steal you wrong. I might take a bonehead trade, but I'm never going to talk about the market and be like, go long here. I'm not like that. I'm not a rah-rah guy. I'm going to give you the raw deal, the real deal of what's moving markets. And hey, we're probably going to not do this today. Hey, this is probably, I've seen this before. Like I said, I am not the best trader. I don't claim to be, but I read the market with the best of them. And I'm not just talking about, oh, we're going high today. I can say it with accuracy of where we should pull back, what we should target, that kind of stuff. It's more granular than just saying we go up. Okay? So come join my Discord. I'll be live today. Probably around the 9:50, 9:55 a.m. Okay? Hope to see you in there. If I don't, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Remember, no trade's a trade. Hope everybody has a green day. All right?